provides $10 million for the small sites acquisition program so that we can actually purchase buildings where seniors are located to protect and preserve their housing. My neighborhood preference legislation, which gives the people who live in this community priority to access new affordable housing that they qualify for, that legislation could help. When you look at what's happening specifically in District 6, more housing is being built in District 6 and District 10. How do we make sure that our senior community has the support they need to apply for that housing that they qualify for so that they can have a place that is accessible and is affordable to their income? We have got to focus on making sure that the social workers who work with aging and adult services are also providing housing opportunities and support for our senior community as well.
Thank you. So thank you all for hanging in there. We have one more question for the candidates tonight. We're going to change the topic a little bit. Residents of the Tenderloin face vast disparities in opportunities and resources compared with residents of other neighborhoods in the city. This is an issue of basic equity. The pathways out of poverty, homelessness, and poor health are often broken and almost impossible to navigate, especially for people with limited resources. Tenderloin residents have experienced decades of consistently high crime rates, dense living conditions, unsafe sidewalks, poor street lighting, widespread food insecurity, and lack of accessible cooking facilities. These issues have taken a disproportionate toll on Tenderloin residents' health and well-being relative to other San Franciscans. So our last question tonight is, as mayor, what 3 concrete steps will you take in your first year towards addressing these inequities and incentivizing city agencies to prioritize the needs of the Tenderloin? So our last question, candidate Kim, please start.
So I am proud to have worked with so many of you on a number of the issues that we talked about today. We are currently installing brighter and new street lights through the negotiations that you actually sat at the table asking CPMC to fund with their new construction. I'm working to make sure that we are fully funding and investing in programs like Bodecker Park, safe passages, affordable housing, more medical health care services, and the Healthy Corner Store initiative, which you initiated here in the Tenderloin. We have 72 liquor stores here in the Tenderloin, and we don't have a single full-service grocery store. We need to make sure that our residents and families have access to fresh and healthy food, and I wasn't able to deliver a grocery store, so instead you took it upon yourselves to work with the small business owners that were willing to be in the neighborhood and ask them to convert their model from a liquor store to a Healthy Corner Store, and we have successfully done that with 5 liquor stores here in the Tenderloin. We turned another one across the street, Big Boy Liquor Store, we all remember that place, into 826 Valencia, a reading center and site for our children and families. We shut down 4 liquor stores that were engaging in drug dealing and criminal activities in the neighborhood. This is how we work on making our neighborhood healthier, safer, and strong day by day, is with community-led initiatives where we are working from the ground up to make this a safer neighborhood for all of us. Now, in affordability, we also need to make sure that for residents like Brenda Washington in the back, when you get Section 8, that we are able to find you housing that you can afford in San Francisco. And we have to continue all of that work that we've built up over time. Thank you.
The Tenderloin feels overlooked because it is overlooked. Whether we're talking about parks or amenities of any sort, cleaner streets, the Tenderloin gets short-shifted. And it comes down to a budget process. And we need a mayor who's going to make sure that from the ground up, that inequity is attended to. And that is where the injustice can be identified. We're talking about economic injustice, environmental injustice, and social injustice. This can be addressed through the budget process. Additionally, with all of these tens of thousands of new jobs being created in the new tech sector and other business sectors, the understanding is that all these jobs are going to be filled from people coming from out of town. What about local hiring? Why don't we make sure that folks who are in San Francisco, who are underemployed and unemployed, get the necessary training? 50% of these new jobs are sales jobs. San Franciscans can do it. And that addresses the economic injustice right off the bat. And it also addresses the fact that if we hire locally, that new hire doesn't need a new housing unit. And that new hire doesn't need an expansion of Muni because he or she is already using Muni. So we address multiple issues by working with the industry, carrot or stick, mandate or otherwise, locally hiring.
As I mentioned in my first response, the issues that are facing the Tenderloin have been issues that have been facing the Tenderloin for decades, right? And so it's going to take nothing less than a revolution of love and logic in order to actually impact these things. And that means, like I said before, moving from a move along strategy to a you belong strategy, working with the people who are currently unsheltered in the Tenderloin and throughout the city, and making sure they have a place to belong in community with reasonable agreements and responsibilities on that pathway to healing and housing. That's one thing. Another thing is we need to not invest more in SFPD on the streets. We need to invest in unarmed programming that supports arts and culture, crisis de-escalation, mental health, and that network can work with the police when they are needed to be accessed, right? And then the third thing built off of what Mark Leno just talked about is we need to create those pipelines to prosperity. We need to make sure that people who are currently on the wrong track, involved in things that are harming themselves or others, have this pathway to job opportunities. And so we need people in San Francisco to be able to build and grow San Francisco and maintain San Francisco. I'm concerned about the Central Soma plan that has a 5-to-1 jobs to housing ratio. We need to create those links between public education and local jobs.
What's going to change the Tenderloin are the three major issues in this campaign, and that is house our homeless in permanent supportive housing, clean the streets, and do something about full staffing of the San Francisco Police Department so that we can take care of the crime that is occurring. Those are the three issues in this campaign, and it hits this district more than any district in the whole city. But when I sit here and hear that this district has got one grocery store, and 70 liquor stores, why is that? Why you need a neighborhood mayor, and that'll be me. Because the concept, believe me, I'll get grocery stores in your neighborhood. First of all, I love to eat, I'm Italian. But having said that, the concept, it's upsetting to me to hear there's only one grocery store in this neighborhood. Let me go back to something that Senator Leno just said. In the 1990s, 20 years ago, you all, 20 years ago, I did the LBE laws, the MBE, and the minority business laws. That means local hiring, and it was supposed to be 16% of the San Franciscans for the jobs. 20 years ago, it was supposed to be 16%. Today, it's 4%. Why is that? Why is that? You need a neighborhood mayor to make that percentage 16% like it's supposed to be by law, hire minorities, and hire local people from the city and county of our great city.
I'm running for mayor because I actually grew up in poverty in this city and know what it feels like to have to live with the neglect, to have to live with the violence, with the crime, with that, to have to live with the loss of friends and relatives and loved ones. I ran for the Board of Supervisors initially because I always felt that laws would get passed, housing would get built, things would happen all around me, and this stuff never connected to my community. It never connected to making the difference that people claimed it was supposed to make. When I am mayor of this city, nothing will be more important to me than making sure that what we do, whether it's the money we spend, whether it's the housing we build, nothing is more important to making sure that it connects to the people that we claim we're doing it for. We need to do a better job at addressing the crime in this community. But we also need to do a better job at holding our social service agencies accountable to provide the opportunities that we know so many residents in this community, if they knew about the opportunities, that they would jump at the chance. Holding our city accountable to provide more investments, making sure that when we build more housing, the residents of this community who need stable housing have access to that. I'm committed to doing what I can to work with this community to make sure that you are not neglected in City Hall.
So for years, the Tenderloin has been in the shadow of City Hall, figuratively and realistically. The Tenderloin has been shit on for years, and this has got to stop. Why is this happening? A lack of accountability by all departments of the city and social services, nonprofits that are providing homelessness outreach. They're all not accountable. Money is being spent. Hundreds of millions of dollars is going from city to organizations, and money is not being accounted for. Where has it gone? This has to stop. I will install, as your next mayor, a mechanism in order to be able to check with goals and with a checklist, for example, of performance goals, what needs to be done in order to be able to keep working with us. If not, if the homeless outreach organizations, if the different department heads, PUC, all the different departments, if they do not want to go along, then their department heads will be pulled. If it's a nonprofit organization, we will stop doing work with them. So this is what I will do as your next mayor. Install accountability, law and order, and uplift our quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you very much.